Okay, so let's start with Jaclyn's work. Jaclyn looks like this is her denotative, so strawberry shortcake. I like where this is going in terms of the variety of type treatments we have. We just need to organize this a little bit more. So you have this overall structure going on for your layout, and I'm wondering if we can just organize this a little bit better according to a grid. So I'm starting to see a very strong line, maybe with the T coming down. So maybe these areas here, like the ingredients and this pull quote, can start to line up better. So instead of doing a centered uh, alignment here for your type, let's do flush left, okay, and make sure these are all in alignment. And then same thing here, maybe the B starts to align with instructions, and then this pull quote here can align better here with this invisible uh, guide. Same with this guy over here. So just organize things a little bit better on the page. But I think this is nice in terms of typographic variety. I like where it's going. Let's take a look at your connotative. It's a little hard to read just because of the font you've chosen. I don't mind looking at something like this in this font. So I would say choose a different font because this is extremely difficult to read, like especially when you start to stack scripty uh, cap size uh, letter forms like this, and there's barely any space on top and in between the letter forms for it to read. So it still has to be connotative but yet readable. And we're starting to get into areas here where the type is starting to overlap. So be careful with that. We still need it to read. Okay. Um, I like that you're forming a particular shape with the shortcake. Just make sure certain areas are aligning. So you just want to maintain that structure even in your connotation. I'm not sure why those are on a curve, probably to emulate a plate of sorts. Might need more words to fill that in. Um, Hopefully that'll help you for the next round, but just kind of change up some of those fonts here because they're definitely not working to your advantage. I think you can recreate something like this in a font like that, which is much easier to read. And this we just need to kind of align things according to the grid. Let's move on to Fernando's work. The most famous Mexican drink, michelada. Okay. Um, This looks like your connotative, this looks like your denotative. I like where you're going with your denotative. Let's see if we can um, maybe choose a typeface that's a little bit easier to read. I think this works maybe for a pull quote, but this is too much information for directions. So I would say pick something that is like the directions font right here and kind of tone it down a little bit. So I like where you're going with the M and the L. Maybe the most famous Mexican drink could be in this font, but not too much text like this because it becomes difficult. Okay? Um, let's see, for your connotative, this is becoming too difficult to read. Not only are we using this particular hand scripty font, but it's also on an angle and things are just very difficult to read in general. So I wouldn't recommend we do that effect for this much text. And I would say scale back some of the text over here and maybe change the font. And again, remember, we're not using any graphic aids for this font treatment or this connotative approach or denotative approach. I don't mind you using color as a background, that's fine. This works over here. In this case, this is too much, and we have the green here, and we have, so this is starting to look like an illustration for me. So let's kind of edit some of those effects out and see how we can recreate this with the feedback that you've been given. Okay, let's go into Terence's work. Terence is doing grilled cheese. So this looks like the uh, denotative. So Terence, no imagery, no graphic aids, no borders. You're doing this specifically with type. So let's see what you can do based off of the feedback I've given you and others, uh, how we can recreate the grilled cheese sandwich, which is very delicious, in a layout that is strictly typographic. Okay? This is interesting where it's going. I would say don't do a drop shadow. This is not really helping um, your cause very much. And it actually makes things a little bit difficult to read. So I would say get rid of the drop shadow. I like that you're starting to work with different ways of placing the type, but we need to have a very particular reason as to why we're using this effect for this grilled cheese recipe. Um, so give us a little bit more of a reason as to why this is stacked this way and going into different perspective directions. All right, and again, we're not using photos or any graphic supplements, strictly typographic. Let's go into Roberto's work. So Roberto is doing lemonade. I like how we have treated this font and this title right here. I actually think, I actually thought this was your poster right here, like this your recipe, and then the rest of your image or the rest of your information is down here. But I actually prefer that this be the first thing that we see, the title, lemonade, flavorful, the amount this, very, all right. So let's bring this guy up here, bring down some of those areas of information below it. And I think this would make for a very nice unitative approach, okay? It's nicely stacked. There's some nice white space going on here, and I think what's nice is that you've used scale and contrast with your fonts here very nicely. I would um, decrease the amount of words per line. So 9 to 13 is max, but I would say slice it down so that it's not so long to read. Okay. I'm not sure what's going on with your connotative. It seems like there's so many different moves going on. Remember, you can create one move for your um, title, but you don't want everything on the page to vibrate and kind of go in different places. Now, this is becoming too hard to read. I'm not sure what this is. There needs to be a reason as to why we're doing those types of movements. Like, so simple lemonade. I mean, are there things that are looking round like this because we're referring to the roundness of a lemon? You know, this might be good over here in terms of seeing where this can go, like maybe the shape of a lemon. But now we're starting to, this is becoming too much. So let's try to scale back and simplify our connotative approach. Let's go to Jesus's work. This is blueberry pie. So this looks like the connotative, or I'm sorry, the denotative and the connotative. All right, Jesus. Let's get rid of the outline around the text. We don't need that. I don't mind you using color, but we're strictly using this typographically. So we actually don't need those boxes if we already have this space established for us, okay? The text is becoming very difficult to read on this blue background with this purple color, so maybe use something like white, okay? That'd be some of my advice for you. And I would actually not go with this font right here. I'd go with something a little bit more modern, like a Helvetica or something that has a bit more structure to it, because you're layering your pieces of information like so, and something like this that's handwritten doesn't really help. So maybe high could be in blue, could be all caps, maybe in a big bold font. All right. This is very difficult to read. I still need to read blueberry pie and the ingredients list and instructions. So you might want to rethink how this is put together, because when we get into smaller areas and the other parts of the sphere become very illegible. So let's rethink our connotative approach. So this should be the end of group 4. I hope this was helpful. Please refer to some of the other pieces of work you're seeing in class. This is always a better way of taking a look at what type of work is around us. Unfortunately, this is an online class. If this were an actual classroom environment, I'd have all the work hanging up on walls for you all to see everyone else's work and kind of get some ideas. Okay? Hope this was helpful, and I will discuss your assignment for next week.